Because think about it, everything we do is either out of love or fear. You are an awareness having an experience. If you know that nothing belongs to us, then you are free. Hi guys, I'm Lisa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go a little deeper to what it means to move from ego to soul, how our ego limits us from living our life at our fullest potential, and we're also going to discuss how perception shapes reality. Now, before we get started, of course, don't forget to watch my recent video. The link is going to be down below, so go check it out. Thanks. With that being said, let's get started. When you stop identifying with the ego, you reconnect with your soul, you reconnect with your true self. Okay, so the ego self is your false sense of self. The ego self is limited. It's a mental construct. It has been shaped early on in life by conditioning, which forms an identity based on the beliefs you grew up with, which ultimately is what we begin to identify ourselves with, who we are, what we deserve, what's possible, and what's safe. So if early on in life you've been conditioned into fear-based beliefs energy, either family expectations, cultural experiences, religion, society norms, etc., the ego forms its identity based on that, which prevents us from living our life at our fullest potential, from living a life that our soul knows is supposed to live. The ego is an illusion of the mind. It lives off survival, fear, and comparison. The ego mind doesn't see beyond the limitations and conditionings that's been placed onto us. When you identify with the ego, you are limited. You are blinded by all these limitations and conditioning that you aren't able to see the full picture. Okay, so think of the ego mind as the one stuck in traffic, and your soul is the navigator seeing the whole map. When you're stuck in traffic, all you can see is the car right in front of you, and you get impatient and you feel stuck. So the navigator, aka the soul / higher awareness, when you zoom out your awareness, you're able to see the full map. You're able to see where the traffic starts, which roads are blocked, and alternative routes, and realize it's only temporary. When you zoom out your ego, you're able to understand and observe and recognize the pattern. When we can move past our ego and see ourselves beyond the limitations and conditions of our ego mind, then we can come home to our soul, our natural self. We remember who we are, which is pure consciousness, energetic beings, beings of love. Everything that represents love here on earth is who we are. That's the whole purpose of why we're here, to be love and spread love. Because think about it, everything we do is either out of love or fear. Fear is coming from the ego, your false sense of self, and love is coming from the soul, your true self. Once we free ourselves from our self-imposed blocks of our limited ego, we make space and move into our natural self. We let our natural energy flow. When you're in alignment, you're living in a way that feels deeply true to who you are, not who you were. You move through life with a deep sense of purpose. You move with authenticity. Your actions match your beliefs. You're grounded and have a felt sense of clarity of who you are and which direction you're headed. When you're out of alignment, your life directions can feel blurred. It can feel heavy, confusing, and forced. Things can kind of feel a bit chaotic. It kind of feels like someone else is pulling the strings over your life. Instead of intentionally choosing, you're constantly reacting. Life is supposed to flow. You're not supposed to struggle with it, but rather flow with it. And let me explain. When I had an inner awakening, that was the start of my ego death. I stopped identifying with the ego, my false sense of self, and reconnected with my soul, my natural self. And that's when the trajectory of my life changed. My inner state shifted to being more grounded and coherent. Everything just felt cleared and steady, and my life got a whole lot smoother. And just because I said it got smoother does not mean it got easier and my problems suddenly disappeared. No, I definitely had and still experience obstacles and challenges along the way because it's a natural part of the human experience. But now I'm not fighting with life anymore. I'm not reacting or resisting to it, but rather intentionally creating because I understand that every experiences are to help me grow, to teach me lessons that I need to learn. I started taking every experiences, the good, the bad, as lessons so that I can grow and elevate in life. When I was operating from ego, I had this victim mentality, reacting to everything that was happening around me and thinking that everything was happening to me. I was like, why is this happening to me? Like, life is hard. Life is trying to punish me. Life sucks. Like, that was my mentality. And that mentality was attracting more unnecessary problems and confusion into my reality instead of expanding my awareness to try to see it from a different perspective. When I stopped identifying with the ego, I went from being victimized and thinking that everything was happening to me to believing that everything was happening for me. I stopped resisting life and responded to it differently. Now I ask myself the questions like, what is this experience teaching me? What is this experience showing me? What am I learning from this experience? And I also tell myself, yes, this might be uncomfortable, but it's growth. Because in order to grow, you must get uncomfortable. That's how I changed my perspective on life, and that's how I was able to take the lesson in every experience. Had I still kept victimizing myself, nothing would have changed. I still would have been experiencing the same problems, the same issues with the same negative mentality. But with a change of perspective, that all changed. You can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness. You have to change your perception to see the change that you are looking for. Repeating the same cycles, the same ways of thinking, and victimizing yourself won't produce the change that you are looking for. Change your mind, change your life. Of course, it's not that simple, but it all starts with awareness. Life only reflects what you internally believe. In other words, if your inner world is chaotic, your external world reflects that. When your inner world is coherent, then reality reorganizes around you. Every challenges and obstacles you go through is always a learning opportunity. When we can shift our perspective, then we can take the lesson in every experience and learn from it. We won't see these challenges and obstacles as a struggle or problems because it's not a struggle. They're just opportunities to grow if you choose to see it that way. If you see it as a struggle, then it will be a struggle and you will attract more struggles into your life because, like I said, life is only reflecting back what you internally believe. If you trust in your inner voice and your inner guidance, the more easily you can flow through life and have a sense of inner peace. You will look at these challenges as opportunities and trust that you can adapt and change regardless of how the circumstances present themselves to you. The only reason my external life changed for the better is because I made the internal shift first. Perception shapes your reality. When you reconnect with your soul, your awareness expands. You grow more compassion, more love and empathy within yourself. So in doing that, you are able to give that to others as well. Because we cannot give to others what we can't give to ourselves. Reconnecting with your soul, you feel a deep sense of connection to everything around you. Because you understand that everything is connected, that we're all one with God, the universe, consciousness. We're all one with oneness. In growing your empathy, you even feel for the people that have done you wrong or treated you poorly. There's almost a sense of pity that you feel towards them because you understand that in them treating you poorly just means that they're disconnected from their true self, and they're fully operating on ego. And you understand that them treating you poorly has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with them. You understand the inner battle they must be facing and what they're going through internally to possess this level of negativity or hatred. And you kind of even feel sorry because you have an idea of what they're going through internally. And I always say this, and it doesn't make it okay, it doesn't make it right or justify it, but the hate and the negativity and the way people poorly treat you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. It's a reflection to how they treat themselves and how their inner world is. You have to understand, people whose inner world is chaotic, people who aren't at peace with themselves, will project that onto others. Yes, the whole purpose of here on earth is to spread love and be loved, but if the people around you or people in general aren't coming from a place of love and compassion, then you don't have to stick around or keep them in your life. Still keeping them in your life will actually do more harm. Loving others does not mean tolerating behaviors that harms your spirit, drains your energy, and repeatedly disrespects your boundaries. Distancing yourself and cutting them out of your life will always be the best response. It is an act of self-love and self-respect because self-love doesn't equal self-betrayal. You don't have to match their energy or get revenge. Remember, the way people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. The energy that you send out in the world always comes back to you in some form, either good or bad. So don't think that you can go around intentionally hurting people and spreading so much hate and negativity and thinking that it won't come back to you. Karma always prevails. Eventually, the consequences of your own actions will catch up to you. It's literally karmic law. When you reconnect with your soul, you also realize that everything you've been searching for to make you happy or fulfilled was never something outside of you, but within you all along. In going inward, you regain inner peace, self-love, and clarity. You didn't happen to just find it because it was already in you all along. When you remember who you are, the game changes. Knowing that you are loved and that it's always been within you, you see the beauty in yourself, which helps you see the beauty in everything else around you. There's a deep sense of love and connection to humanity and every living thing. The meaning of life entirely changes. You start living life in a different perspective. Everything you do comes from happiness, compassion, empathy, and peace. Not fear, worry, or stress. Not criticism, not even sadness. Moving from ego to soul is less about becoming someone new and more about removing what isn't truly you and coming home to yourself. And that only happens when the human mind, the ego, is ready to live in its truth. When you stop pretending, you finally come home to yourself. As we move from ego to soul, we come into the vibration of love, and love is one of the highest frequencies. As we elevate to a higher vibration, everything around us starts to shift. Our soul begins to work within that vibration, and it changes not only us, but our entire environment and atmosphere. As we rise in vibration, all of our relationships will change because we are changing. Because we no longer relate to lower vibrational energies that aren't coming from a place of love. Everything on this earth is permanent, even the people in our lives. Nothing truly ever belongs to us, and I think that's a beautiful thing because we should learn to not be attached to anything, but rather connected. We come into this world with nothing and leave with nothing but our soul. We are not here to own anything, but to experience it. Most of the people that you meet will eventually leave your life. Understanding that everything is temporary, even the relationships and friendships you build will help you cherish it and embrace it more. When we understand that, it's easier for us to let go, and move on. And I'm not saying it will not be painful, but it will hurt less. And I think it'll even hurt more when we try to control and hold on to something or a connection that we know is meant to come to an end. When everything has served their purpose, it will eventually leave because you've learned the lesson, no matter how painful it was. So allow it to go. Everything might seem permanent here on earth, but spiritually, everything is energy, always in motion, always changing, always evolving. Possession is an illusion of the mind. Attachment stems from fear, the ego's fear of loss. In reality, nothing is ever truly lost. It just changes forms. Because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed into something else. Connection comes from the soul. It does not cling. It's rooted in presence. It is focused on here and now. It's fully present. While the ego forms an attachment and fears of losing it, that it isn't able to fully be here in the present moment and cherish the connection or experience because it's putting all its energy on the fear of losing it. The ego mind cannot exist in the present moment. It's always relying on past narratives or future goals to maintain its existence. Your soul doesn't attach to anything. It doesn't identify with anything. It simply exists as awareness. Connection teaches you that you can still love without ownership. You can still connect without control. And you can still appreciate without attachment. Attachment, aka your ego, says, if this leaves, I lose it. While your soul says, if this leaves, I experienced it. You are an awareness having an experience. If you know that nothing belongs to us, then you are free. Life is a gift to be honored. Nothing is guaranteed. Okay guys, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!